Hi everyone, Hailey Preston again. This is my fourth and final video in my series about living life in the Han cluster. Each video builds on the last, so if you haven't seen the previous ones, you might want to give them a look. In this video, I have to talk about some serious stuff. Since the discovery of the necks, people have invented brand new ways of hurting one another. I guess that was kind of inevitable, but I'm here to help. I'm going to talk about the two major kinds of attacks you might be faced with, and what each kind does to you in your capped and ghosted forms. First, there are physical attacks, like we've always had, from sources like pulse pistols, knives, sources of heat, and baseballs. That kind of stuff. But now, there are also neck-based attacks, originating from X-weapons and other neck-based sources. These attacks interact differently depending on what form you're in. Here are the three main interaction rules. Rule number 1. Neck-based attacks affect all linked beings without penalty, no matter whether they are capped or ghosted. Rule number 2. Physical attacks affect all physical targets, including capped people, sleepers, and ghostless targets like animals and inanimate objects normally. But they are less accurate and less effective against ghosted targets. And finally, rule number 3. Neck-based attacks are less accurate and effective against ghostless targets. These include objects or animals that aren't linked to the necks, and sleepers whose X-ghosts are temporarily absent. That's it. You might want to review that, but it's less complicated than it sounds. Here's a handy table that breaks these interactions down into simple terms. Pause the video to get a look. But here's what you really may be asking yourself. What happens to my physical body when my detached X-ghost gets hurt? Good question. When you're capped, taking damage, no matter whether it's physical or neck-based, is just like you would normally think of it. A blade cuts, a shot penetrates, and a baseball gives you a bump on the head, right? When you're ghosted, though, any wounds or injuries you take are instantly transferred to your physical body, so it's not your X-ghost that gets a bump on the head, it's your sleeper instead. No one really understands how this happens, but it does. What this means, of course, is that anyone who's trying to give you first aid can't give first aid to your detached X-ghost. They need to do it at your body instead. You might imagine that this can get pretty complicated and scary pretty fast, right? Unless help is close by to your sleeper, you might not be able to get first aid quickly. For those who are X-bonded, this becomes easier, as the injured person can always snap back to their body, which they do automatically once they fall unconscious anyway, and their X-bonded mate can then ghost travel to their injured friend's X-ghost, which is now capped within their body, and perform some first aid. You can see that in the heat of the battle, this can get pretty intense. The moral of the story is, always know where your sleeper is, and always make sure someone can get to it in case you need help. In fact, because physical items don't ghost travel with you, it's a good idea for each person in your party to carry their own set of first aid supplies, like Metagel or Restoration Gel, so that those supplies are always available, even if the doctor coming to help you just ghost traveled in and couldn't bring anything with them. Well, that's all I have for now. Thanks for listening, everyone, and be careful out there, okay?